1,291. 1,291. And I just we put together 3 TikToks today. Let's see how they're doing. Get on here. Okay, we're getting some views there. It's very important in Richard's case, which is the August 3rd, 2019 mass shooting case, absolutely, where there has been no justice so far, really no justice. Because I've been, just going through all the material with Team 5 Richard Halliday, and we just feel like, oh my gosh, there's so many irregularities, and they are absolutely hiding so much. And they're not giving El Paso justice, and they're not giving us justice finding our son, because they're absolutely connected. So when we solve one case, we will solve the other. And that explains so many. So much that's going on. So I'm going to explain it a little bit for you today. And it gets a little emotional because we go through the August 3rd, 2019 mass shooting, of course. So many deaths. But something is strange about all of that. It doesn't make sense. And there are so many irregularities with that. And I think the El Paso community needs to know what happened, what are the connections, why is this so strange? Why is this taking so long, 4 years, for people to get answers and to get justice? And why have they been misled? Because absolutely we have been misled from the very, I believe, even before it even happened. Because I believe that this was a concerted effort by a group for, is it business plan reasons, for money? Is it to protect turf? Is this a cartel? Because it really does have, it just, you can just feel the spirit of it, that this is organized criminal activity that put this together. And was Patrick Crusius part of it? Part of this criminal, organized criminal group? I believe that he was. But, when you look at him, when you study him, when you pay attention, when you open up your eyes, and I'm going to go on my Facebook and make sure that everything is working. And what I'm saying, people have been killed for this. I believe so. I believe people have been killed for talking about this and trying to get to the truth. And so it's because if you're a whistleblower, I absolutely believe that this had something to do with Richard's death. I absolutely believe that it had something to do with Glendon Oakley Jr.'s death, and possibly Memo Garcia's. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. But when you look at the timeline, those are the 3 that, and maybe there's more. And so, I'm reaching out to all the brave people out there that want justice, that want to not let the murderers walk the streets, not let the organized crime get away with this, because absolutely this is organized crime. And it just, when you look at it, um, just, a couple days, you'll absolutely know that it's organized crime. And we can't have organized crime taking over our institutions, our agencies, and our towns, and our even our entertainment, and um, you know being bullies, and being, and end up and having so many murders and so many turf wars, and then you have a mass shooting. I mean, we can't. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live that way. And there's a question, um, being German, and one of the things posed all the time when you're talking about the Holocaust is, why did they just walk? Why didn't they fight back? Why didn't they run back? Why didn't they challenge the guards? They knew that they were going to die anyway. Why didn't they go down fighting? That was always the question, and we just have to have, uh, and I'm not saying at all to, um, with any kind of physical. This is, I'm talking about when you're walking towards a death chamber, right? A death chamber. Um, but what I do mean is that we do have tools today to help us legally, because our founders of this country has given us the tools to fight legally. And those are the letters. Those are the letters, the letters, the letters, the calls, the calls, the calls. And also, now we have this alternative media where we can share um, information, and you can even go to meetings and things like that. But right now we have so many facets in our lives that need to be addressed. uh, I'm I tell people that say, oh, why don't you go back to El Paso? One day I will go back to El Paso. But when when you see that you're having to expose the FBI in El Paso, having to expose the district attorney's office, so many, so many in there, having to expose the command, having to expose the CID, having to expose the IG, having to expose the media, having to expose Park University, having to expose even UTEP. They're up to no good too in this, and and we can't let them have it. We need to expose it and get some leadership in there that want to be honorable, um, to expose the VA. There's so many facets in this that are absolutely. What about that PI, right? The PI from the that was recommended by the command sergeant major, a sergeant major, yeah, Hardy Hay, Sergeant Major Hardy Hay. That needs to be exposed. There's so many parts of this, and you know, at the same time, you need to live, and you need to be able to pace yourself so that you can work very hard, but still live, right? Still live, still do what you need to do in your life, your duties. And that's why having the alternative media, that's why um, writing the letters and the emails has been our choice on how to do this. And there's much more that we could do, but we don't have a large staff. And so we are very, very grateful for Team Find Richard Halliday that you share, and also, like yesterday, I mentioned the advertisers that are giving El Paso Matters money. And I was asking everyone, if you want to help, you don't have to. It's up to you. But if you want to, you can contact the visiting angels and say, look, Bob Moore, do you understand what a bad man Bob Moore is? And Mission Chevrolet also, and El Paso Community College, and Texas Tech Science Center, and Emergence Health Network. Those are the five. And if you know any others, but to contact them and let them know that we're watching and that El Paso Matters has done a huge disservice, more than that, a huge disservice to the community in their reporting. And so they're twisting of truth and absolutely using unreliable sources. So, with that said, let's go look at the videos. I think I see myself here. Yeah. Yep, I'm turning that down. Everything's working. I can see everybody. Happy Sunday. So, with that, I wanted to look at the videos that are on TikTok that we put up, and I put them up on Facebook also. So let's go there and look. Number 1, 2, and 3. And the first one is about Patrick Crusius. And Crusius, I hope I pronounce his name right. His name is Patrick Wood Crusius. And, I really want to talk about him because he has been given thousands of years, I think around almost 8,000 years in prison. And why is that important? Because we have some of the most vicious murders, some of the most vicious child torture, pedophilia um, cases, and even the rape of soldiers on military bases that get like 3 years, right? Maybe 18 years, maybe, it depends. It depends, Um, but Patrick Crusius, absolutely, um, it needs to be punished. There's not a doubt in my mind, but thousands and thousands of years. So, what is that saying? It's saying that this is really demanded by the people, and the people even demanded the death penalty. And to be involved in something like this, it absolutely, the death penalty needs to be on the table. I absolutely agree. And in Richard's case, I absolutely have told everybody our point of view on that the death penalty needs to be on the table, that lethal injection needs to be right there on the table, and that the people that have obstructed the justice in this case, because it's part of the August 3rd, 2019 mass shooting case, that's why the death penalty needs to be on the table. And if you really want to count the deaths, you had 22 deaths on August 3rd, and then in April 8th, um, Glendon Oakley Jr. was found dead. That's the 23rd death. And then April 26th was um, Memo Garcia. Memo Garcia died in the hospital. And then July 2020, Richard went missing. And so I think that's 25 deaths right there. From so absolutely the death penalty needs to be on the table. And what we do is we look to our law enforcement um, agencies to give us justice, right? To do the investigative work and hand it over to the prosecutors. And because we've exposed that the CID who was in charge of Richard's case, but also for Glendon Oakley's case, okay? And both of those cases were under the CID. The commander of the CID at the time was Donna Martin, okay? Donna Martin needs to be arrested. Martin is up to no good. Donna Martin chooses the star, the politics, not the lives of the soldiers. She has absolutely violated her oath. She's a traitor to this country. And so is General McConville. So is General Garrett. So is Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. So is um, Matlock, right? Lieutenant General Matlock, who was there at the time. So is Major General Clem Coward. Absolutely. And I would say Brigadier General David Stewart, who came in, green behind the ears, um, but absolutely, we saw it in front of our own eyes. A very, pretty nice, very honorable, hardworking man, very nice man, um, turn into a creature that was unrecognizable from the months before. And, it was really, really sad because I had met his family, and it's really, really sad. It's so heartbreaking to see the system do something like that to a leader, to a nice human being, right? But to a leader too, because we watched him sell out his soul. We watched him. He sold out his soul in front of our eyes, and the transformation was so ugly. It was just so ugly. So, yeah, this it's a very dirty game, because people will value their careers and say it's for their family's sake or whatever, um, over their morals and their ethics. And also, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself. This is what Rob always says: how have you glorified God today? How have you glorified God today? What have you done to glorify God today? And that's the problem. They they're working for some kind of foreign and domestic enemy, not for something, not the creator, not the creator of this beautiful, beautiful world. And the world is really, really magnificent. So that's why I like to try to put up the bonuses, um, for people to understand that, you know, it's kind of like a psyop that we're given of just negativity, negativity, negativity. And that's why we need these bonuses of the things that are beautiful and wonderful and true and praiseworthy, honorable, right? So that is exactly why I put the bonuses up, just for a reminder, just for a break. So the first video is with Patrick Crusius, and he, thousands of years, he will spend in the Alcatraz of the Rockies. The state wants to prosecute him for, try to get the death penalty. Okay. Um, but, my question is at this point, 4 years and so many hard feelings, how is he going to get a fair trial in El Paso? And, you would think, oh, why would he need a fair trial? I mean, some people have said that to me. And I'm like, no, no, because we have murderers walking around. Patrick Crusius absolutely was not alone. I just watched another video earlier that the man was like, yeah, I saw him and he was all dressed in black with a mask on. Patrick Crusius did not have a mask on and he was not dressed all in black. So there were multiple shooters, and there is plenty of evidence for it, plenty of eyewitness testimonies for it. Um, and of course, Glendon Oakley Jr. is one of those. And yet, um, there is this dismissal of some witnesses and then the lifting up um, initially of unreliable witnesses like Chris Grant. Chris Grant is absolutely an unreliable source. He has, he's a perpetual criminal. He has a crime for every month. He has a crime for more than that, dozens and dozens of crimes, right? That he has perpetuated on the community there in El Paso. And the El Paso police didn't let everyone know that because his testimony about the soda bottles being thrown at Patrick Crusius, they nixed that. So why didn't they want to nix his absolutely racist, horrendous witness statement about the whole narrative about Patrick Crusius being a racist and Patrick Crusius having these very bad motives for shooting. And the thing is, when you look at all the evidence is more overwhelmingly that he's not those things that Chris Grant said. And Chris Grant is a liar, right? He's a liar because he said he didn't know he had an open warrant out for his arrest, and that whole soda bottle thing is not corroborated. And then he gets, a help, right? A public affairs person to respond, like, I still maintain this. But no, you're a criminal. He's a total criminal. And he has connections that are just up to no good. He has very bad connections. And that's why he's protected. Because the very connections are even inside our government. So he I would almost say that he was like a plant, that they plant. And the thing is, though, that's kind of confusing on all of this is that his mother was in there. And I want to be very outward to say that. But something stinks. Something is not right. The connections, the conflicts of interest, the false statements, the absolutely horrendous statements that are so divisive that make anybody angry. Anybody. But there's no proof of what he's saying. There's only denial and an autistic, severely mental, severe, a individual with a severe mental condition, right? That's what's going on here. Was he wrong? Yes, but um, I think a lot of questions need to be asked. And one of the very first ones is, who is Ernest Chris Grant really, and who does he work for? Who does he work for? And if he's a criminal, is he involved in organized crime? And so, if he is involved in organized crime, then who is he organized with? And does that have any connections with August 3rd, 2019, Glendon Oakley Jr.'s death, Memo Garcia's? I don't know if that is to be suspicious about, but I'm suspicious about it. And of course, Richard's death. So, Glendon Oakley Jr.'s absolutely suspicious about it. And, I have in my mind Elders Fernandez's situation where he was bullied so badly. And yeah, so I'm very suspicious about the way they handled Richard and Glendon Oakley Jr. because when they became whistleblowers, they could have did what they did with Matlock. General Matlock was getting into trouble. They gave him a 3rd star, but he couldn't take it. He couldn't take it. Why? He had to go and hide in Korea for a while. Why didn't they put Glendon Oakley Jr. and Richard on a plane to do a mission in Korea? Because ADA is in Korea. First AD is in Korea, right? Or yeah, because that's or um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it is because Matlock went there, right? Matlock went to Korea. And so, all of this is, and what did they do with Clem Coward? They took Clem Coward out. They protected him. They put him in Washington, D.C. in charge of, discovering or the program, the very, very failed program of sexual harassment, right? And sexual assault. Um, that's what they made him in charge of, protecting him. Absolutely, so that he could retire. But they did not protect Glendon Oakley Jr. They should have removed him right away from that whole scene. He was getting bullied so terribly, and that would have helped him. And because when he had been bullied enough, he ran home. He ran home to the clean area, um, which I'm very familiar with because I used to live there. But and when Richard became a whistleblower in 2019, they should have absolutely removed him. They should have protected him, but they didn't. And that's why I believe, well, I know for sure with Richard was murdered. I don't know what happened in the barracks with Glendon Oakley Jr. I don't know enough about his case. But I do know this, that when you watch his videos, it's so authentic. He's such a great guy. He's such a hero. And you just cry and cry. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Glendon Oakley Jr., because he's just such a beautiful human being. Um, and his mama and daddy taught him some really good things. He has a lot of crowns on his head right now. He really does. A lot of jewels in those crowns. Um, yeah, I'm just heartbroken about that. But this is absolutely the thousands of years that they gave Patrick Crusius is indicative of a political uh, case. This is absolutely a political case. The media using Chris Grant as a media darling to spew his absolutely filthy racist rhetoric that is unreliable, to bring discord to the community because there's just no evidence of it, right? You can say, but there's that manifesto. Really? Has that been investigated? Let's look at it. Because when you look at Patrick Crusius and his responses and how he surrendered himself, there's, he might have been part of a criminal gang, but it wasn't a white supremacist one. No way. No way. All right. And how he handled himself in the court, it's like a 14-year-old. So who helped him? Who researched mass shootings? Oh yeah, and Ogle and Thomas Kane did. Why were they? Why were they? And am I saying that they organized this? I don't know. I really don't know. At this point, I really don't know because Richard was reporting to the CPS and Ann Ogle was in charge of the emergency intake center, and there's 85,000 missing minors. So I look, what does it take for someone to be held accountable for their actions? Those admirals that are over that emergency intake center and Ann Ogle, because she is the CYS. She is the administrator for all the youth. Why isn't she being held accountable for that disaster? Because I think there's a criminal cabal, an organized criminal enterprise that is inside our military and inside our government. And you can say, oh, that's a conspiracy, whatever. No, because we have the open records that we read to prove that in the DA office with DA Bill Hicks, with a private attorney, Justin Underwood, and the media, Bob Moore, that they were working together in a concerted effort, researching to take down an elected official, and they colluded together to take down not only Yvonne Rosales, but also to bully Curtis Cox, even after he was forced to resign in duress, just like Yvonne Rosales was forced to resign in duress. And we have it in writing, their bully statements. We also experienced the bullying that Glendon Oakley Jr. experienced. We experienced. Absolutely. I absolutely have. I don't think our bullying was near what his was because their mission was to get the narrative out there that it was a lone wolf shooting, and that wasn't the case. And Glendon Oakley's testimony proved it, and he wasn't budging. He wasn't budging. He said, I said what I said because it was right. And they kept wanting to try to twist him up. So, absolutely. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Good evening to you. Thank you for your prayers and your love. So, we're going to look at those videos even closer because, they're online. You can watch the whole thing. But one thing about the Glendon Oakley Jr., well, the Chris Martin, his name is Ernest Christopher Grant. Sorry, I say Martin. Um, Chris Martin was another one. Oh man. Um, but Chris Grant goes to the trials because of course he's suing Patrick. Well, he's suing Walmart, right? He's suing Walmart and with along with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. And it's very interesting because Glendon Oakley Jr. says in his video that he wants people to know, and I didn't post that up on there, but if you listen to the whole thing, and if you need the video, I can post the whole entire video, but it's online. Um, and he says, I want people to know that I'm not trying to profit off of this. Like someone had told him that that's what he was trying to do. He was being bullied. He was being harassed. And um, anyway, so we did see in the picture with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, we did see Chris Grant, if you want to know what he looks like. And, they're uh, very involved in this Patrick Crusius case, of course. Of course. Um, and I'd really love to see Chris Grant on the stand because he's just, with that long record, he's just not to be trusted. I don't even know if he can go on a stand. I think that there are certain laws about testifying on a stand, right? So I think that he's not even credible. And I think that's why they try to set people up and make them not credible so that they can't testify in the court of law. That's where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. And so with that information and knowing that Richard's case is intertwined with all of that, it's no wonder that they try to misdirect us and give us false information and try to thwart us in whatever way. uh, you know uh, Rob's testimony, his paperwork there for Chihuahua in Mexico, report to look for Richard, was tampered with and made Richard out to be a criminal, whereas Rob never said that. Never said that. And Rob signed that document. Yes, it was all in Spanish. We don't speak Spanish. And that was tampered with. So we're working on that to get that fixed. And, so all the different effort that went in to try to misdirect us is screams politics. Only politics could have the money and the wherewithal to do what they're doing. Absolutely. So I think this is, if I would have to guess, I think that this is um, a power struggle to control the agencies so that they can, make some really good money with, how do they do it? They use the law to legalize certain mandates or certain taxes or certain projects. And then once they have those mandates in, those laws in, they can invest or they invest beforehand when it's really cheap and they know it's going to pass and they get the contracts and they just make a bundle. And so this is a huge, huge problem that we have to expose. It really is. Because it really is a trap. And if we get, let's say, we catch one abusing their position, then the next person coming in will also be tempted to abuse the position. It's just the way what's going on right now. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming on. Um, Thank you, Anicia, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank you and share. Bye bye.